when you've got this entity that is basically growing and thriving on groupthink. In other words, everybody's trying to conform to become like William Branham says. And then you've got all of these conflicting things that William Branham says, to the extent that he himself doesn't even practice what he's preaching. You've got all of these varying ideas, and each person, the way the groupthink works, in their minds, they think they're the right ones, and everybody else is wrong. Why would you not believe it like me? Because we're in this groupthink. In our sect of the message, the press play churches, if you will, it was actually a little bit worse than some of the others. Again, I went to churches all across the nation. I've been to churches where they preached. I've been to churches where everybody gathered around and listened to this tape from the 1950s of William Branham berating everybody from his era. And it's always a berating. William Branham, his way of preaching was basically to preach against something, not to lift you up. So the idea is to break you down so that he can be the hero, the savior that can save you from this being broken after he has broken you. Well, then in these churches across the nation, they're doing the same thing. They're breaking people down. And like you said, they will target people, some not often by name. I have actually heard it by name. My grandfather, there was a lady who got up and sang a special, and she had, I want to say it was maybe a 4-inch slit in the back of her skirt. It wasn't even enough to be hardly noticeable, but as she's walking down after singing a special on the platform, Grandpa just railed her because she had a quote-unquote scandal skirt, because that was one of the things that William Branham berated people for. And if you apply all of this to Christmas, you've got these ministers in the cult and in these splinter groups, not even the message, but some of the latter rain, churches that were birthed from this thing, they have the same pattern of religion. They'll have people in the church and they'll preach against everything that everybody's doing, trying to break them down so that then they can lift them up to Jesus. That's the structure of these churches. Well, they break you down over Christmas, and most, this idea was common in the 50s. It's no longer common because more people are realizing that Paul says you can celebrate the holidays, but they're practicing this in such a way that people are confused as to what to do. You know what I'm saying? Do I celebrate? Do I not? There are cases where William Branham says himself, it's for the children. Do it for the children.
Right. William Branham makes so many conflicting statements, in his teachings. And I think it's almost fair to say there's not a significant thing that William Branham preached that he didn't preach it multiple ways.
Yeah.
Right? Like, you can find him preaching multiple ways about Easter. You can find him preaching multiple ways about Christmas. You can find him preaching multiple ways about the week of Daniel, multiple ways about the birth of Christ, multiple ways about the Godhead, multiple, whatever you pick. You can find him preaching multiple formulas of salvation, multiple formulas of baptism, everything he preached 2 and 3 different ways, right?
Right.
And so you can honestly justify almost anything you want to believe from his statements. And so it just depends a lot of time, I think, on what people are predisposed to as to what they pick, right? And with Christmas, the same thing. People end up in these strongly on one side or the other. And I think that the average person in there has no idea the depth of the conflicts, right, in what Brother Branham said or preached, right? Nowhere near the depth. In my sect of the message, we acknowledged a lot of the depth of the conflicts of the things that he said, but we nowhere near grasped the true depth of the conflicts of the things that he said. I mean, he was all over the place. And what that does, that is actually, and William Branham is directly responsible for this, that is more than anything responsible for almost all of the divisions in the message, all of the so many terrible things have happened as a result of William Branham making all of these conflicting statements, Families are broken up. People are divorced. People have died as a result of these misstatements. People get so to the point that they're almost ready to fistfight each other, and some of them have, over these conflicting statements that William Branham made. Like it becomes life and death.
Yeah.
For some of these people. And it's the same with Christmas, right? So you've got some people that are holding on to the Christmas is going to send you to hell, directly to hell version of William Branham's statements. And then others who are holding to the you need to do it for your kids and love your kids statement, right? So it just creates this terrible conflict. And so with the Christmas stuff, this is one of the few ones where you got both people in our churches, both people holding both views sitting in the same church, right? And William Branham endorsed both, and we're all trying to get along. And so our rules are all, in our sect, we're all designed about trying to not turn this into a massive conflict.